Hey guys, Brandon with Whiskey River. This is another one of our conversations with friends, and I'm here with RedBeard, otherwise known as Ed. Nice to see you.
Hey.
You're in Missouri. We're hanging out. This is the first time we've met in person, so how's it going?
Good, man. Actually pretty excited to be in Missouri because I grew up in Missouri, but not in the area here.
Okay.
I grew up around the St. Louis area.
Around St. Louis, okay.
Yeah.
I've driven through St. Louis a lot. That's just, being from Wisconsin, it's like the thoroughfare to the south, it seems, or gateway to the west, I guess, as they call it. When did you move out of Missouri?
When I left the Navy in 1992. And then I did 20 years in the Navy and then retired from the Navy in Gulfport, Mississippi, and I stayed there.
Okay.
In 2012.
Wow. And you are currently in Gulfport?
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess we can't really complain about humidity here because it's probably super humid where you're right now. It's probably
a break.
Yeah, it's a break for you. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy drive. Not as crazy as Joel, but 10 and a half
10
hours.
about 10 and a half hours.
Yesterday. We got a lot of people here that traveled from quite a distance. Only Travis, obviously David, and Harry are the only ones that are like remotely close to here. Yep. I guess my dad's 3 hours away, but first axe. What was your first axe?
The first one I built for myself first is a wood slasher boy's axe, and I actually made the handle for it too, and I forgot to bring it. I meant to bring it.
Like your, okay. Did you know anything about making handles, or was this like okay?
Not a clue.
Did you use the right wood?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't even remember what kind of wood it is. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But it's like a 20-inch, kind of a curvy handle.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very boxy, very rudimentary. Yep.
Simple.
I keep it as a reminder.
Nice.
Lots of curl underneath it. It's just
Oh, like where the head sits down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Like when I first got into hanging axes, I just thought I was like, well, just smash it on and then you're good. And then you don't realize like how much of a death to a handle that curl, that shelf can be. Did you you started out with knives, or was that before the knives or after the knives?
So I started doing fit and finish on knives, and then once then I started getting my own knife designs and my knife lines and models and stuff like that. I had a guy approach me to build him an axe, and I didn't know much about axes at the time. So went down a rabbit hole. It was a pretty big one.
Was he like a knife customer of yours?
Yes, he wanted a knife and an axe.
Okay.
So he wanted.
What was that axe?
It was a Century Jersey.
Century Jersey, interesting. Like 3.5 pound.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember. It was maybe 4. It was,
yeah.
To me, at that time, it looked pretty big.
Yeah, in comparison to a boy's axe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. The knife thing. So you are RedBeard Knife and Tool.
Yep.
Knife and Tool. Yeah. I misspoke about that in a video the other day, actually, trying to scramble under pressure. So now I remember it. But are you? What percentages do you think it is, like roughly, knife versus axes?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Because I see a lot of knives coming out of your shop. It seems as though.
I would say probably 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah. Knives take a long time to make. So when I want to break a brain break, I will build an axe or two, because it's something I can complete in a timely manner. It takes a week or two to make an axe or to build a knife, but to put an axe together and sharpen it, I can do that in a matter of a couple hours.
Yeah, like a night. Yeah. Just, that's what you sit down and do, and yeah. Are you forging knives? Or
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do forge some, and I do stock removal some, and I do have some that are made and ready for scales. I have there's a company that makes my production models.
Like laser cut out for you, come like that.
They come hardened and ready to go, and all I have to do is put a handle on them. And
so they're ground and everything.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Sweet.
And all I have to do is put a handle on them and make a sheath for them. I hand make the sheaths. So.
Wow. Did you do any of this when you were in the Navy, or is
No.
this all after?
Yeah, it was kind of hard to maintain a hobby when you're in the Navy, and I was in an operational commands most of my career, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to do it. Plus, if I had to pick up and move, I'd have to move my hobby, and it was enough to
Yeah.
move a whole household rather than other stuff.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Were you on a boat or on a, like,
I spent the first 15 years straight on sea duty, so I was always somewhere.
on a boat?
Yep, on a ship
On a
or on a deployable unit that went to a ship when they deployed, or with a deployable unit that went boots on the ground in like a war zone. So, yeah, my last 5 years was my first shore duty, and I ended up retiring on shore duty. So
Okay. Where was that?
here in Gulfport. Well, it
Oh,
was in
yeah,
Gulfport.
yeah, you said that. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, being on a ship, you can't really, like, it's not like you can be like, I have this one car garage worth of space that I, like, have to myself and make stuff. It's kind of like stuck out of a duffel bag, I would assume, most of the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. So since retiring, you've been able to pick up these hobbies. I can imagine that that's fun to
Yep.
dive into.
It was pretty fun, but it's just, I come home from work and, I wanted to occupy myself. So I started, a buddy of mine told me, he's like, dude, I think this would be really good for you. Maybe you should try doing knives. So I did, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But axes kind of give me, like I said, a brain break, because I could just feel like I could complete something within a matter of a few hours. And
Yeah. That's a really good mental trick. I think that a lot of people, David and I were talking about it when we sat down. It was like it's like too many people want to just like bite off the dreamers, right? Like we're all kind of like storytellers and dreamers. It's like your brain thinks that like you should just bite off way more, or in the moment you don't think it is, but you end up biting off more than you can chew and splitting it up into small tasks or taking side quests in each direction.
Yep.
It's very healthy. It's something that I feel like most people in society have no clue how to do. They come home from work, they sit down. If they have a hobby, they do that hobby, and they don't do anything but that hobby, and then they go to work the next day, or go to bed, go to work the next day, and it's very important to like feel like you're accomplishing something, whether that's in the hobby or, like you said, with the axes, like making it kind of like a side quest.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's just talk about this because it's sitting on the table. I want to talk about it.
This is cool.
Yeah, let's talk about
It's
it.
kind of a project that I'm working on. It is it's a collaboration with me and ML Forge, and he's making. This is a prototype of the first RedBeard Kentucky pattern axe. We swung it a lot today, so it's going to get. I'm getting ready to send it off to a couple guys that follow a lot of trees, and they're going to, as they say, try to bust the brakes off of it.
Bust the brakes off of it. Nice. Most people know who ML Forge is, but I'm assuming some people don't.
He is a pretty, I would think he's a pretty renowned axe maker out of Latvia. He's an owner operator. He forges all of his axes from 65G steel, I think, which is really good steel for axes.
Okay.
As we found out today. So that thing's pretty good.
Yeah.
It has, I've noticed that the eye is a little bit longer than a lot of axes. You put more wood in it, and I would say it probably makes it a little more stable.
Definitely. Yeah. That's one reason why we make the eyes oversized on the Heritage handles, because we want to give the consumer the most amount of wood possible. Like sometimes you buy a hardware store handle and it's like it's gauged so that it fits quick, but you've got gaps, and this is a huge eye, but you filled every ounce of that with wood.
That handle is a Whiskey River, one of your handles, and I didn't take anything off the front or the back. I used every bit of the front to back of the axe.
Shaved off the sides.
And just had to shave it off the sides, and that was pretty much it.
That's a 28 fallers then?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And head is 4-ish?
a little over 4, like 4 pounds, 1 ounce.
Mm-hmm.
This would be the lighter version. I really wouldn't want it any lighter than this, but it's a Kentucky pattern that's made modern.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Very refined.
I
got
dig
very
it a lot. Yeah, yeah. You see, it's got thicker,
Yeah, it's got pretty thick cheeks.
pretty thick cheeks, but it kind of goes down. to
Yeah, it's
where
like the last inch it really tapers. Our mutual friend, Tim.
Tim. Yeah.
Tim lives like, I don't know, 40 minutes from where I grew up. Tim has bought handles off of us. Tim Caston has bought handles off of us and visited Whiskey River when we were located down south. And then come to find out, Tim visited Ed.
Yep. This past winter.
In Mississippi.
Yep.
Which I was like, he was like, oh yeah, I stopped by Ed's house. And I'm just like, my brain's exploding that there's a, clash of worlds. Great guy, and he does a lot. He's got like a mill. His family's got a mill, and then they do a lot of logging. So he's definitely going to be able to put this thing to the test, and he's going to enjoy every second of it. And he buys axes off of you, right? Or
he has bought one or a few,
Mm-hmm.
and I also have sharpened a bunch of his.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I found today that I would probably enjoy this on probably a 30-inch, like a 30C. And I think it would be a really good work axe, just all around.
Yeah, for sure.
Originally, I designed it as a faller's axe, but it's really kind of performing really well. Splitting, chopping, and yeah, I think it would be a really good all-around axe.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, that 4 pound, 3.5, 4 pound range on the 30C is like perfect for what we were doing earlier today. Like chopping down moderately sized trees, which you could do with this for sure on the straight handle, but it feels a little short when you're swinging it with the idea that you're going to be chopping trees down. If you're just swinging it to sideways to smash wedges, it's perfect. Short, basically, it's just a reasonably handled sledgehammer at that point.
Yeah, so this axe is going to Tim, and he requested a 24-inch handle.
Interesting.
So I'm going to make him a custom handle for it.
Cool.
24 straight.
Yeah.
Straight handle. So I'm pretty excited. Excited to see how it performs.
And so this is something that you're planning on, like testing out, getting their ideas.
I think my window is going to be about 3 months. I think before I can come out with a decision on whether I need to make any changes on the design or the pattern. And then we'll open it up for pre-order on my Etsy.
Yeah, and then you guys can buy them.
Yep.
We should show off that other ML with the pack axe handle. Joel will get it. I swung this thing today. It's great. It's epic.
Super cool.
It hits heavy for a 24-inch handle.
They may have taken it to go split with it.
They may have taken it. Okay.
No, I think it's on the end over there. No? Not that end.
It has a big bit. It is, but it's on one of our new 24-inch pack axe handles in Osage that Ed got piles of. Ed has piles of Osage handles from that auction because of our.
I'll run down and get it.
Okay.
I think it's in the middle by that cup.
Oh. Nope, I was mistaken.
Oh, we do have it. Sweet. So yeah, this is worth the wait on. Sure, thank you. So this right here is a large bit. I mean, that's like almost 5 inches, maybe even more. And it's got the traditional, I don't know what they call these.
Scrolling?
Scrolling.
I would call
They've
it
got
that.
this traditional artwork, that's forged into the head, which I'm like super into. I wish the American companies did like this kind of stuff.
It would be cool.
Culturally, this is earlier. Yeah. This is something that was like earlier than what American axe manufacturers were making them. But yeah, this is our 24-inch pack axe handle that I got off of us in Osage at our auction. And I was a little, when he messaged me and said that he was going to hang it on a pack axe handle, I was like, man, that's a massive head for a pack handle. But the eye is The eye is
The perfect size.
the perfect size. It's not a full-size die. The head is very thin. The profile is very thin, and it's just beautiful. It's sweet. So I got to swing this and chop, I don't know, 50, 60 swings into this thing, and so smooth. So this is another ML Forge, and I don't think I've ever held an ML Forge. I definitely have not swung one until this weekend, and I'm super impressed.
Yeah, they're impressive.
Yeah,
They're
like
very impressive.
it's wild. And there's a lot of blacksmiths in Latvia, which is wild.
Apparently, I wasn't aware of that.
And
All I knew of was
It was him.
ML. Yep.
Yeah, John Neiman, that double bit.
Yep.
You know, they, you know, and Latvia is not like a massive country by any means. It's like
No.
it's just a, so it's kind of neat that this really high end stuff is coming out of, you know, that area of the world, and then coming here, and we're able to like, I mean, I don't know how many there are here. There's a handful of ML Forge stuff. Well,
I think it's just
Travis
these
has
two.
one.
Travis has
Yeah,
one.
there's one
in
at
his
his
house.
shop. Yeah, and that's like a Hoosier pattern, maybe. Yeah,
Hoosier
it's like
Tassie.
a Hoosier Tassie. It's got a massive bit. It's basically a racing axe, you know, or practice axe for racing axe, and that's gonna be exciting to see on a handle for sure. So we already talked about the fact that you got into axes via, you know, wanting something to do with your hands, kind of like after work, and you know,
Yep.
the knife thing. As far as collecting goes, what's your you know, style of collecting?
Where do I lean? I lean
Yeah.
toward Kelly's,
Okay.
and more specifically Kelly Perfects. And I just like those, and I have just about everything I need or would want in a Kelly Perfect.
Like all the variations
Yep.
of sorts.
I have all the doubles, all the jerseys, all the Daytons, all the Michigans. You know,
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, I mean, tried and true.
yeah.
Can't go wrong. Do you? So money's not an option, right? In this question, you don't think about the money part. This axe comes available. And you are like, I gotta buy it. It's got to be mine, and you get it. What is it? I guess white whale, we could call it.
That's really hard to.
To lock down.
Yeah. See, I don't know, because I really enjoy unique patterns or unique axes. They're kind of out of the norm, and they don't fit into a certain genre or pattern. Kind of like this one.
Yeah.
They call this a forest axe, but that doesn't look like a forest axe.
I mean, it would work great in a forest.
It would work really good in a forest, but it's just cool, and
Yeah.
it works really well.
Are you talking
Probably
unique,
like a Black Raven jersey.
a Black Raven jersey? That would be wild.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And I've only seen a few online. That would be something I would definitely put on a wall and never use, but because they're just so rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only seen photographs on the internet as well, of those. I can't remember the last time I even saw a photograph of someone being like, "Hey, I picked this up." You know, like the Facebook guys that every once in a while someone's flexing, being like,
There's
"Check out
always a
this
couple-
thing I got for $100," and it's like something that's like there's only like 6 known in existence or whatever, and they're all in private collections. You know, so Black Raven jersey. I was kind of trying to figure out what mine was, and I think mine is a very crisp version of that Kelly Perfect axe that you found, the early one. You know,
That was my white whale, and I have it.
yeah.
So I don't.
So that's what threw
You
you
know,
off
it
in the
kinda-
question.
yeah.
I think that one of those would probably be like something that I would, if I got, I would be like, this is the one that hangs on the wall. This is the one I, you know, give to somebody someday when I'm old, you know, as like a keepsake.
That will be a keepsake, and it's going on the wall when I do decide to do something with it.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know what to do with it yet, because it's the patina, and I don't know if I should, or if I should, how far should I go with it? There's just a lot of questions in my head on what.
I think when it clicks, it'll click.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things. just keep.
You have to wait for it to speak to me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that's, I think that you really lean into a lot. That, we get, a lot of times we get like this question, it's like mind numbing to me, is like, hey, I got this axe. What do you think, which handle should I put in it? And one thing I really like about conversations with you is you go, hey, I've got this axe, I'm going to put this handle in it.
I've already made my decision.
Yeah, you're like already telling me.
Yeah.
You're not asking me, right? Because, and coming from certain guys, it's okay but it's usually like it's like that's such a weird question, because, I mean, if we get away from the task that you're using it on, which is probably the largest thing that would decide what handle you're going to put on it, right?
Yep. Function.
If we get away from the function part, it's just personal preference. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, you are, like, I can't tell you what handle it's going to be. This head is, a boy's axe eye. You send me these dimensions in an email. I've got like 8 handles, that you could make work in that. They all look different, obviously, yep. Right? I'm not making the same handle over and over again on that. So one thing that I really like about you is that you kind of like, you either buy it with the knowledge of being like, all right, I'm getting this head in and it's going on this handle.
Yep.
Or you get the head and you sit on it and you're for a day, a month, whatever, and you have like, you let it be like, talk to you and say, hey, this is what I want.
That happens a lot.
I see you do it a lot.
I'll be looking in my garage or in my shop. My shop is a garage, but I'll be looking at my shop and I'll be like, oh, that one just clicks with me, and I grab it off the rack and I'm like, I need to do something with this.
Yes. And one thing that if you're not on TikTok, you should be. If you're not following RedBeard on TikTok, you definitely should be. Is you portray that in your storyline of your videos.
Yep.
You're kind of like, ooh, yes, in a lot more theatrical and entertaining way. And that's something that I just really, really, really enjoy, guys that are able to. It's art, It's you can't just like, you're not just like slapping paint on a wall. You like go to Home Depot and just buy a color and slap it on the wall, like, unless you're a landlord. Yeah. And in this case, it's like you don't just slap a handle in an axe and say this is art. It's like you gotta, and even on this is a boy's axe, pack axe handle, but boy's axe eye, and it's like there's a dozen ways you can finish this.
Yes.
Like this, just a palm swell. Just from here up, there's a dozen ways you can finish it. And then there's probably another dozen ways you can finish the handle. This handle you could have buffed this. You could have wet sanded this. You could have stained it, burned it, And so there's, and that's, I don't know. It's one thing that I'm trying to teach people the large variety of different ways that you can restore an axe, which is part of the the future project that you and I are going to work on. Is like the reason for that project and the reason why it has full artistic freedom is because, and honestly, the reason why you're involved in it is because I know that you're going to be like, this is why I'm doing this, because I feel like this is going to be the best for this piece. And so it's just it's a romantic thing, I think. And it's just got good vibes. It makes me enjoy putting together axes myself when I'm like, I got 6 heads that are my personal projects to sit on the workbench, and they're sitting there. People are like, when are you gonna hang these? Buddies come over. When are you gonna hang these? When are you gonna hang these? It's like when I get the handle in that works for it. And they're like, well, you got 1,000 handles sitting here. It's like, I know, but none of them have, that, what's that blue stained handle that we got, when we were looking for a handle for that, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I got this. I'll send you guys a video of this handle I just got in.
The handle will speak to you when it shows up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just something that's really cool and you portray in your content. Speaking of content, what is, I guess there's content side, and then there's the business side. But like, what direction are you kind of working in? What's a dream of Ed for RedBeard Knife and Tool?
I would like to get as many of those Kentuckys in people's hands as I can. I would really love to do that, to just leave that mark in other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that would be cool.
And it's something that you got piles and piles of time into, like, you know, going back and forth with him, and you're going to have piles of time into the process of getting him here.
Because all
hanging
the
him.
handles probably will be custom made by me.
Mm-hmm.
That's my plan. So I think that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So running with that, a media side. Let's talk about content side. What is like the direction you're kind of trying to go on the content
I
creation?
don't really have a direction.
Okay.
I just kind of feel like building an axe, just kind of see what happens as I go along.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if things work for it and happen, because I kind of want to do things the way I feel that it should be done. I like sharing what I do because I like for people to enjoy, and if they can, learn from it.
Right.
And if they learn, it's a win.
Yeah, definitely.
So-
Yeah, and if they're entertained, it's a win.
Yep.
Like even if they're like, I'm not understanding really the in-depth things that he's telling me about. Not that you go super in-depth, but you know, tricks and all of that. They might never restore an axe in their life, but they just like watching your stuff. Yeah, cool. Are you on YouTube? You are on YouTube.
Yes.
Because you comment on my YouTube.
Yeah.
And you are you in the long form content right now, or?
I've posted a few
Okay.
that were too long for TikTok, so I would just do like an abbreviated version on TikTok and then post a long form video on YouTube.
Yeah.
But now you can do long form on TikTok.
Which I just learned.
So kind of makes you wonder which direction you should go, or both.
Yeah, or both. Yeah. So when you told me about this, which you know we're still not for 100% sure, but he's mentioned that you can possibly go up to an hour on TikTok. That's wildly awesome for creators because just like you were saying, I'll make a video for YouTube that'll be like 13 minutes, and when TikTok had the 10-minute restriction, it's like, man, I got to go in there and I got to figure out the 13 minutes. That's an art piece to me. The video, it's like structured how I want. It ended up at 13. I uploaded it. Cool. It did. You know, I enjoyed how well it did on YouTube. Then I go to post it on TikTok, and I got to chop 3 minutes out. It's like, well, what am I gonna get rid of? Because everything in that was the meat and potatoes of what I wanted in the video. So, I know TikTok extended it to 30, and then now this hour, it's going to be wild for
I really
creators.
truly believe it's an hour.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it really opens the door for creators to be able to cross post, you know, across and use the same content or similar content across both platforms. We already do that for Shorts, but then the same thing happens for YouTube Shorts. It's like you make a 1 minute 30-second TikTok, and YouTube Shorts only allows you 60 seconds. So
Yeah.
you're either chopping it, pulling out the meat and potatoes, or you're cutting it off at a weird spot at the end. So we're hitting YouTube Shorts heavy, and we're trying to do 3 a day. And we've been slacking on
I did notice that.
we've been slacking on the YouTube Shorts for a couple years, and I have all of this content that I've shot for TikTok mainly, and Facebook, and I'm like, well, let's just dump it on, you know, edit it different or change it different, and then dump it onto YouTube, and it's been doing well. Obviously, we're not only recycling content; there's new stuff in there, but that's been doing really well. We're up like 500 followers since we started that like 3 weeks ago,
Oh, that's great.
which is
Yeah.
that's huge.
That's good. Those are good numbers.
Yeah, like we only have 10.8 right now, but like going from 10.3 to 10.8 is like in 3 weeks is like cool. Especially because it took us 6 months to go from 9.5 to 10.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a big difference in those two. So I definitely, I tell everybody it's like YouTube Shorts are for growing the following, and long forms for getting paid because those do better. So, yeah. Are you posting Shorts?
Nope, I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't think I've posted a single short on YouTube. Maybe one. And that was a while ago.
They're wild. I had the boiler videos went viral on there, but they like once it went viral on TikTok, it's like, all right, this is probably gonna go viral on, or at least close to viral on Facebook and YouTube. They did well on YouTube. We do struggle to see. I definitely get more views on TikTok on Shorts, or on TikToks. But the YouTube Shorts are kind of like they hit like 4,000 or 5,000, and they'll park like 2 days out after posting it. They'll park at like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, and then over the next 3 months,
Picking up steam.
like 1,000 a week. Gains 1,000 a week, and I kind of like that because those comments are coming in. Like people are using, people are using that, and they're like reflecting back. You can tell people are like going back into the page and they're like clicking through that and they're writing comments, and that, I don't know. It's a different format than TikTok, but yeah. So you're heading home on Monday or Sunday?
Probably Monday.
Monday, yeah. Machetes. We talked about machetes online. You brought a machete. I'm gonna grab it, actually. I want you to talk about it. Right here. This kind of gives you guys a sight of the whole knife side, one of the knives.
So, this is I would call it a cane knife. It's based on a South American pattern that they use for sugar cane. I would imagine, I think. But it has
That
a
makes sense.
full size handle, and it's got a finger choil, so if you want to choke up on it, you can. And it's just really it looks wonky, but it's really balanced.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unbalanced at
It's
all.
very swooped. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you definitely aren't hitting your knuckles on anything
Nope.
because your knuckles
forward
sit so
heavy.
far back. Yeah.
Yeah. And I find that if you don't have to put anything into it, you just let the blade do the job. You know?
It's all on the wrist.
Yep.
Do you?
So it works really well.
What'd you make that? What steel's that?
The steel is 8670. I get that from Pop's Knife Supply.
Mm-hmm.
And then the handle is hickory. You know, it's durable.
Yeah.
So
Tried and true.
Yep.
Yeah. And it holds color if you want to stain it. It's easy to finish. It's got brass pins.
Brass and copper loveless bolts, or brass and brass loveless bolts.
Yeah, brass and brass. It looks like. Are these something you're selling?
Yep. I sell those on my Facebook page on RedBeard. RedBeard Knife and Tool on my Facebook.
Yeah. In an American sense, because we don't have sugarcane. You using this to whack through the woods?
My brother-in-law actually, they live down south of New Orleans around a bunch of marshes and swamps, and they kept buying these hardware store machetes. And as soon as they hit something with it, it bends the blade. So that was out of necessity. He asked me if I could make one with this pattern, and I changed the pattern a little bit. That was the outcome. And his friends found out that he had a really nice knife, and so they asked me to make them one. So I'm hoping it's going to be a thing.
Yeah, it kind of snowballed, and I mean, it showed that at least your friends or family, have an interest in them. So yeah, it's cool. What's the price point on those? Like for that with that handle?
It's going to be around $150.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
that's a shipped price, so
Yeah.
$150 shipped.
Okay. That seems really reasonable for an American-made, machete. The Fisker's one at the hardware store is like $25, and it's got a saw blade on the back.
Yeah.
And it's not cool at all. And it's dull. My girlfriend just bought one at the hardware store. I'm like, she brought it home, and I'm like, this thing, I don't even think I could cut a potato with this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can whack stuff and the leaves fall off of it, and it'll chop through some stuff, but like, it's not. I mean, that thing's capable of doing some serious work, light work, and also you can chop through some pretty thick stuff. It looks like.
Yeah, we were chopping on a tree earlier.
Yeah.
We were just knocking chips right out of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think machetes are one of the most in America are kind of like a underrated tool. They're not really given the credit that they maybe not in your group because you're into knives, but like the average guy that owns a homestead or owns like a farm or just has like a cabin or something, it's like you're gonna go in there with your chainsaw and try to prune, or a pruning saw.
Yeah.
You're gonna try to prune saw. It's like this thing, way faster. It's actually relatively hard to hurt yourself with the thing.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
like, I mean, you're never cutting down low with this machete. It's all like sideways work, and your arm comes back past your body. It's really a very valuable tool for light brush clearing, you know, and making paths and all that. So.
And it's green wood. If it's green wood, it'll probably cut right through 1-inch limbs if you need it.
One swing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you foresee possibly like offering different patterns of this, or larger or smaller? I mean, the machetes that we have sitting around that people keep breaking, I feel like
I would
machetes
say
are
that it's
multiplying.
possible to go larger.
Yeah.
As far as machete, that's actually relatively small.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the blade length is. So if I went any direction as far as different size, I would probably go a little larger, longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, I mean, I think that this size is like the perfect homeowner. Like, you're using it in your backyard. You're not using it every day. You're not like clearing trails for you're not a trail clearer.
Right.
But you just need a machete, you know, once a month, a couple days a month to, you know, whack on some stuff. So that's cool. Oh man, so I was wanting to ask them, and I totally forgot. But if you are approached by someone who is coming into axes or knives, we can do knives too. What would be like kind of like a thing that you would be like, this is a tip I have for you?
So many good questions. That was
Yeah.
another good question.
I know, I'm stacking them for you.
I know.
I got practice with the last 4.
I would say don't be afraid to fail.
Okay.
You know, because a failure is just you know, another way to figure out how not to do things, and you're going to learn from that.
Yeah.
You know, but if you want to practice for an axe, I wouldn't say for your first restoration to buy like a super premium handle. Get something that's less expensive. Even go to the hardware store and buy something that you're not going to care about, but you'll at least learn from it. You know, get all your lessons out of a lesser,
Lower value or lower price point. Yeah.
lower value handle.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you buy a Whiskey River 32C,
Yeah, you're
And,
$48 in, and
and you fail, you're going to be pretty upset with yourself.
yeah, definitely. We were just talking earlier today. It was like I got an email from a guy that was like upset that he cracked the palm swell. It was the first time he ever hung an axe, and he bought it. Went out 30C, A grade. Started, you know, he basically was like, I've never driven a car. Let me drive a Ferrari, you know, as my first car. And he sent me pictures, and the palm swell had waffle marks from a framing hammer on the palm swell. It's like, you know, you got to know the tools that you got to use with the fancier handles. If you're using like a trooper handle from, you know, the hardware store, and that's your first one, you probably can get away with smacking it with whatever. You can smack it with another handle. You can smack it with whatever you want. And that's they're those handles that are at the hardware store are very forgiving. And if you do break them, you're not like upset at yourself because you only spent $20.
Yeah.
Or I don't even know what hardware store handles sell for right now. Actually, I feel like
I
they're
picked one up for $26.
Yeah, which they've went up. I mean, we'll get an email every once in a while. It'll be like someone's like, I can buy these locally for $12. You know, and it's like, well, the price of stuff is a little high. I know that our 36-inch single bit house axe from House Handle Company that's at our hardware store is $36.99.
Wow.
Which is pretty expensive
Yes.
because I can't remember. I should, but I can't remember what our 36-inch single bit handle is, but it's not much more expensive than that. So, you know, you kind of, with hardware store handles, you can kind of shop around, stop at some hardware stores, and just, some guys that don't update their price. Some hardware stores keep them low because they know that that's what gets you in the door. You're going to show up, you broke it's mostly like sledgehammer handles or whatever, rake handles, shovel handles, that gets you in the door, and then you buy some bird seed and the other stuff. So, but yeah, the market between hardware store grade price point and Whiskey River is honestly usually pretty big separation between the two. So I always encourage guys to start with that. So I like that tip.
As far as knives are concerned, I would say I started off buying blanks off of eBay. Relatively cheap, probably came from another country with lesser means. So if you want to learn how to put on handles, start with a lower grade knife that's cheap, that you don't care if you mess it up, and have a plan.
Like map it out.
Yep, have a plan on what you want to do, because there are certain things that have to happen in order, and
which is why it takes so long.
Yep.
I don't think a lot of axes, they have to, obviously you can't wedge it without putting the handle in, but it's pretty, you can't do it out of order. But with the knife,
correct.
With the knife, it's you could do it out of order.
Yep.
And then it turns into, it's not great, So that's a good point. And there's piles and piles for axes as well, but piles of information of knife makers online that'll do full builds.
Yeah, and I basically taught myself by watching videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's so many videos out there, and don't watch just one person. Watch, follow 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 different guys, and you can pull all of the knowledge from them and just kind of do whatever fits your knowledge and your skill level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And that's the great thing about this style of get together is every single person, you could hand me an axe off that table and I could tell you probably who put it together. It's all different, right? Yep. Some of them are really close, especially if they're on factory handles. But that Voices of Jake handle or that RedBeard handle that's pointing at us right now with the laminated swell, very obviously yours. The Voices of Jake Osage one that they were just walking around with, very obviously Voices of Jake. The shape of the handle.
He's got his own palm swells.
Yeah, he's got his own palm swell, and
it's like a signature palm swell.
And it kicks down heavy, in the last 8 inches of the handle, kind of swoops down into itself. And so yeah, you get this. If you like that shape of handle, then watch Voices of Jake make that handle.
Yep.
Because he's literally telling you exactly how to make it. He's telling you how to. He's telling you how to. He's telling you how to hang it. He's telling all of the steps, and then you can be like, "Hey, I like art of craftsmanship, how he does stuff." Well, he's got different tools.
Make some really cool stuff.
Yeah, he's got different tools. He's got different, stuff, all that. So, hey, how's it going?
Hey.
We're recording a podcast. You want to join? This is Harry Holler.
Is it live?
Oh no, it's not live yet. Yeah, we're just recording. So.
Cool. Where's everybody else?
They're if you just walk to the complete other side of his house, they're in the yard splitting wood. Yeah, so I think that people get locked on, and I know that sometimes I get stuck on the fact of there's ways to do things that still aren't on the internet. So there's wow, a lot of people don't. Actually, a local guy to us, Trevor, he had mentioned there's just not a lot of guys using cant hooks or log jacks. I was just don't think they're posting on the internet. I don't know if you know what a log jack is. Yeah, it's they're just not on the internet. My grandpa uses one all of the time, but he's not posting it on the internet. And so there's even ways to knife makers guilds, local knife shows or gun shows that you can go to, and you can actually hold this. And most of those guys, it's very rare that you are at a show that a knife maker doesn't want to talk about his process in which he made the knife.
Yep.
It's not like a trade secret. Most of these guys aren't. They don't. They're not going to keep that secret from you, because they know that the barrier to entry to get to that point is you're going to have to be dedicated to do it, and it's going to turn out way differently than what they do.
Yep.
So, and so we always turn to the internet as hey, you can do this. It's obviously an easy way to. It takes a lot less effort to sitting in bed at the end of the day, be watch this YouTube video and figure out how to make this palm swell this way. But getting out and meeting the old timers is also a great way to learn.
Definitely a good way to learn.
Yeah,
Yep.
the techniques. So, Cool. Well, where can people find you on the internet?
So my Facebook is RedBeard Knife and Tool. My TikTok is RedBeard KNT, KNT.
Yep, numbers.
And then
Or letters, not numbers.
yeah,
Letters.
Letters. And then YouTube is also RedBeard KNT.
Okay.
So knife and tool.
Yeah, sweet. And any closing words? Any words of advice? Statements, mantras. I'm putting you on the spot.
If you have any questions, feel free to message me, and I'll be more than happy to point you in the right direction. If I don't know, I definitely know someone that does, and I'll help share that knowledge. That's
Yeah.
just what I like to do. I like sharing the knowledge, and to share the craft is probably my most important thing. Is I want people to know.
Yeah, know how to do stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. One of the reasons why I like you is that you're always like open to chit chat with these guys. I mean, in your comment section, you're always super friendly with them and all that. So yeah, if you add them on all those social media platforms, you can hit them up.
Yep.
So, all right. Nice meeting you again.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for sitting down and talking. And be good, guys.